We are just a couple days away from both the NBA and the college basketball season from officially starting. So I'm going to look at Bleacher Report's new 2026 NBA mock draft before the start of both seasons. Make sure to like and subscribe. Go into the description to submit your video idea. As you can see on the front, we have Darren Peterson, Cam Boozer, and AJ DeBanza, who are supposedly the top three guys in this draft class. And let's see who they have at number one. It's going to be Darren Peterson to the Utah Jazz out of Kansas. I think this could make sense. I personally don't have Peterson at number one, but I would not be mad at you if you did. Peterson this year at Kansas has a really good chance to be the team's number one leading scorer, have the highest volume, have the most touches on this team, just because really outside of him, I'm not going to say Kansas is a bad team, but scoring-wise, he's going to have to take the mantle. I think he has a great chance to be Bill Self's highest scoring freshman ever, potentially. But yeah, also, Keontae George, Isaiah Collier on the Utah Jazz, that doesn't stop you from taking a guard like Darren Peterson at one. I don't personally have him at one, but I have no problem with this. Two is going to be Cam Boozer to the Washington Wizards. Boozer is my number one overall prospect just because I think out of him, DeBanza, and Darren Peterson, his game has the least amount of holes. He's a good shooter. He's a really good defender who could honestly guard all five positions on the court. I love what he's able to do scoring the ball in the post to mid-post. The Wizards, if they do end up drafting Cam Boozer in this draft and you're able to put him next to Alex Sarr, along with guys like Bilal Coulibaly, Trey Johnson, Will Riley, Keyshawn George, Bub Carrington, they're really gearing up to have a really solid future because of how many great young pieces they are acquiring. Cam Boozer's my number one guy in this draft class. Really good pick for the Wizards at two. At three, we have AJ DeBanza going to the Brooklyn Nets. In my opinion, if one of DeBanza, Peterson, or Cam Boozer was to underperform this season in terms of their expectations, it probably is AJ DeBanza. Probably, I would just say that because of the way he plays the game compared to Boozer and Peterson. Peterson is a heavily downhill player who's also an elite defender and can get his own jump shot off as well. Cam Boozer is more of a pure forward who can score on all three levels and is a really good switchable defender. AJ DeBanza offensively is definitely the way he plays the game of basketball. I could see him not shoot great from the field this year at BYU. I could see him go through spurts of him playing very well, averaging maybe 23 plus points per game, or then dropping his field goal percentage to underneath 38% and then averaging 14 points per game for like 8 or for like 6 to 8 game spurts throughout the season. Just because he's a guy that likes to shoot the basketball, he will shoot some questionable shots. Maybe that changes under a Kevin Young system, but from what I've seen so far out of DeBanza, he's probably the guy I'm least confident to be the number one prospect going into this year's draft. At four is going to be Jaden Quintance out of Kentucky to the Charlotte Hornets. Quintance, I believe, had a season-ending injury last year, and just because of that, I don't personally have him in my lottery because I'm not sure how he's going to 100% bounce back from that injury this year at Kentucky. But the Charlotte Hornets did trade Mark Williams in last year's draft, and they're really missing a big presence at the center/power forward position. You have Kalkbrenner, you have Moussa Diabate. Those guys don't really bring the presence that a Mark Williams or Quintance would because they don't really have too much meat on their bones. They're really good at other stuff, but we don't have a dominant presence in there. Quintance can probably bring that. I think four is a little too rich for me, though. At five, also something that's probably a little too high is going to be Nate Ament to the Toronto Raptors. We know the Raptors really love drafting lanky wing/forwards like last year Colin Murray-Boyles, obviously Scotty Barnes of the past, Grady Dick. You want to go even farther back, let's think of Pascal Siakam, and even some of the guys they acquired too. Brandon Ingram, he fits that mold as well. Nate Ament is a lanky wing. He is one of the more raw prospects in this draft class, and I think because of that reason, I don't think he's going to go as high at five. I don't know if his production at Tennessee is going to really warrant the fifth overall pick. Or maybe the team just really loves what they saw out of spurts, and they're willing to draft him top five. I probably have more mid to late lottery, though. At six, we're going to have the Atlanta Hawks from the New Orleans Pelicans take Cole Pete out of Arizona. I'd love to see the Hawks maybe target Mikael Brown Jr. with the sixth pick because I'd love to see him potentially play underneath Trae Young for a couple years or potentially be a Trae Young replacement. But I guess I could see the willingness to draft more forward depth We know their front court right now. You have Onyeka Okongwu, Kristaps Porzingis, and they just drafted Asa Newell. But looking at it, Porzingis is not going to be your long-term guy. He's too injury-prone. His contract's not where we want it to be. And then out of Okongwu and Asa Newell, you're going to need another guy who's able to sit down in the lower block and be more of a lob threat or more of an interior presence for your team, because you're going to need some more front court help, especially if Porzingis isn't going to be here for that long. 7, we have Mikal Brown Jr. to the Memphis Grizzlies. I love this pick. I think he could play next to John Morant. He could play behind John Morant. He could be the perfect Desmond Bane replacement in maybe 2 years. I think he has a higher ceiling than Desmond Bane. Mikal Brown Jr. at 7, I think, can be classified as a steal for the Memphis Grizzlies. This is from the Phoenix Suns. At 8, we have Kristaps Jr. to the Blazers. Blazers do already have or have drafted 2 centers in the first round in their last 2 drafts, and Hansen Yang and Donovan Clingan. So getting another big is a bit questionable, but Kristaps, in a similar mold to like Naz Reid or Derek Queen, he's a really fluid, crafty ball handler for his size. He gets to a shot pretty well. He's also good at finishing downhill. The three-point shot does need some work, and he's going to have to put probably some more pounds on his frame. But as a player to watch, as a prospect in general, Kristaps Jr. is one of the ones. At 19, or at 9, we're going to have Tunde Yesufu to the Miami Heat. I'd love to see Yesufu in the Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra defensive grit and grind system like the Miami Heat that they kind of lost once Jimmy Butler left from that second half of the season. Yesufu is one of the most aggressive players in this draft class, arguably the best defensive player in this draft class, and I just would love to see what he brings to Miami Heat at 9. This is a really good pick. At 10, we have the OKC Thunder from the Sixers taking Caleb Wilson. I'm a little bit lower on Caleb Wilson. I don't have him in my lottery. He's somebody that I don't know how confident I am about his role for North Carolina this upcoming season, and I just don't know if his talents that he's displayed right now is going to be worth a top 10 pick in this year's draft. I have him in the 20s range. We'll see what he does at North Carolina, though. Obviously, things can change very quickly. At 11, Caden Boozer to the Sacramento Kings. This is the highest I've seen Caden Boozer for sure. Boozer, we've seen him in high school prove to be a capable lead point guard, and I think that's what he's going to be also able to do for Duke this upcoming season. I don't know if his ceiling as a player warrants him to be a top 12 or top 11 pick, especially to a team like the Sacramento Kings, who probably could benefit from somebody that can be a future star in this league, or at least take a shot at one. 12, we're going to have Braden Burries to the Chicago Bulls. Burries is a really talented downhill player. Him and Koa Pete looked pretty good during Arizona's scrimmage. I don't know if I would put Braden Burries into the top 12 in this year's draft. I think he's definitely in the 20s range for me as well. But I could see the pull that a Braden Burries would bring. He's big, he's strong, he's stocky, he could finish inside. He's a good 3-and-D player as well. 12 might be a little bit too rich for me. 13, Isaiah Harwell, another guy who, he's probably a bit more lanky than a Braden Burries, but he's a 3-and-D player. The Dallas Mavericks are looking to add some of those guys to help build their future with Cooper Flagg. At 14, the Spurs get a steal in Kareem Lopez from the New Zealand Breakers, and his nationality is Mexican. I have him as a top 5 guy, I'm pretty sure, in this year's draft class. He's shown so much improvement shooting the ball. He's already one of the this draft's best defenders. He's shown over the last 3 years of just being a professional that he has easily the talent to make the transition to the NBA. His game's going to be so fluid when it comes to the NBA as well, because he has a role. If the Spurs get Kareem Lopez at 14, this will be an absolute steal. 15 is going to be Braylon Mullins to the Indiana Pacers. I'd love to see the Pacers add some more big depth, but you can't go wrong with the shooter, especially someone in Braylon Mullins who has shown to be a good shooter already. Oh, I guess that's obviously. At 15, the Indiana Pacers take Braylon Mullins out of UConn. Mullins is one of this class's best shooters. He's also from Indiana, so having him return back home to the Pacers is cool. I'd love to see the Pacers maybe target a center, but I guess Mullins at 15, if we want to add some more shooting for cheap, is not a bad pick at all. 16, Tahad Pettiford to the Memphis Grizzlies. This means they're doubling up on guards because we saw them take Mikal Brown Jr. earlier in this draft. So I guess we're thinking Mikael Brown Jr. plays next to John Morant, Tahad plays behind him, and we kind of have our guards set for the future to go along with Scottie Pippen Jr. Honestly, I don't mind that. I'd also love to see this team maybe add some more bigger wing depth to forward depth. But if Tahad really balls out this season and you can't not take him at 16, I would not mind the Grizzlies to add some elite guard play at 16, right outside the lottery. Dame Sarr to the Milwaukee Bucks at 17. Sarr is probably my favorite prospect in this draft class just because of all the raw potential he exudes. He is already one of the draft's best defenders because of his length, because he can get into the passing lanes, and is a solid shot blocker for his size as well. He's a really good downhill player, and he's shown to have some potential to be a catch-and-shoot guy. Hopefully we see that at Duke this year. Hopefully he brings that to the league. If the Bucks are really starting to think about blowing it up, maybe trading Giannis, we saw the Knicks rumors earlier today, Dame Sarr is not a bad start. Just saying. At 18, Carter Knox to the Atlanta Hawks. Knox is one of this year's biggest breakout prospects for college basketball. His role is going to be so big at Arkansas this year. We saw some spurts of it last year, but he's going to be one of the main ball handlers. He's going to be probably the team's main scorer. I love Carter Knox, obviously the brother of Kevin Knox. I would love to see him, honestly, maybe a tad bit higher in this draft class. I know I didn't personally have him in my lottery, but I don't know. I think we're going to see a really big year from Carter Knox. The Hawks at 18 could potentially be a steal for him. 19 is going to be Hannes Steinbach out of Washington. So he's an overseas guy. He's playing his freshman year at Washington. Going to be completely honest with you, I've not seen this name before. I have not watched film on him before either. So it looks like I'm going to have to tap into some Steinbach before the college basketball season begins. At 20, we're going to have the Detroit Pistons select LeBaron Philon out of Alabama. When you think about this Pistons guard depth right now, you have Cade, obviously. You have Jaden Ivey, who are going to be your two starters. Then you have Karis LeVert, that can be more of a backup wing / guard for you. Can be a ball handler like Jaden Ivey. Then after that, you have Marcus Sasser. I don't think Marcus Sasser is going to be a guy that stops you from drafting point guard. And because of that, LeBaron Philon makes sense at 20. I'm really excited to see him and Bethea play next to each other. Should be really fun to watch. Unfortunately, Bethea, I think, has an injury to start the year. But Alabama, under Nate Oates, with two really talented guards, it's going to be exciting to watch for sure. Yaxel Lendeberg at 21 to the Orlando Magic. The Magic do have a lot of similar archetype players at that forward position, like Franz, like Paolo, like Tristan da Silva. You can even throw John Isaac in there as well. They just have a lot of similarly built forwards on this team, and Yaxel Lendeberg kind of fits that to a T. So I don't love the fit to the Magic, but just as the 21st overall prospect, this is going to be a steal. Lendeberg could be the player of the year in college basketball just a couple months from now. At 22, we have Patrick Ngongba out of Duke to the Golden State Warriors. Ngongba, during the scrimmage that Duke had, 2 days ago, looked very polished. His post-game was very refined, which is pretty early, especially for someone who didn't see too much time on the court last year. Looks like he's already making a lot of adjustments and steps toward his game. I think Ngongba is going to be proven to be a first-round prospect. I think the Warriors, obviously signing Al Horford's not going to stop you from taking center. We just really haven't seen the Warriors with this type of center really succeed at the highest level. You think of maybe even a guy like James Wiseman, who doesn't really play exactly like Ngongba to a T, but usually when we think about the Warriors, we think about floor spacing, we think about small ball five like Draymond Green. How does Patrick Ngongba kind of switch that up? They now have Jimmy Butler, who adds a different dimension to their team's game. Are they going to try to maximize their time left with Steph Curry? We'll see. I like Ngongba at 22 to the Warriors, though, in its entirety. 23, we have the Timberwolves get Bennett Sturts out of Iowa. I like this a little bit. I think that the Timberwolves could for sure look to add a point guard. Rob Dillingham wasn't too impressive last year, but even though we're still going to give him time. Mike Conley, old, probably his last year of basketball this year, if we're being honest. So adding Bennett Sturts could be a nice addition to their point guard depth. Him and Rob Dillingham, they don't necessarily play similar, but they both really need the ball in their hands to be really good point guards. And I don't know if you want your point guard depth to be kind of the exact same, if you get the exact same feel with them both on the court, because I think maybe we should get more of a change of pace guy. Maybe get a taller point guard compared to Rob Dillingham, who plays defense, who's willing to dive for loose balls. I'm not saying Bennett Sturts doesn't do that. He's just, in terms of having the ball in his hands, probably too similar as a score-first player to Rob Dillingham. I like Sturts as a prospect, though. I think he can for sure be a first-rounder. He kind of gives the feel of a super college basketball point guard, undersized, makes the right play basically every time, elite shooter, gives that type of feel, so that's definitely cool. And I think Sturts, what we saw last year at Drake, how he's going to adjust to Iowa, the Big Ten play, I'm really excited to see. 24 is going to be Isaiah Evans to the New York Knicks. I would be surprised if Isaiah Evans falls to 24, but hey, if he ends up with my New York Knicks, I would not be mad. We'll take that. 25, we're going to have Anthony Robinson to the LA Lakers. Lakers at 25. I mean, wow, do they think the Lakers are really going to be a top 17 in the league this year? I'm going to be honest, don't know too much about Anthony Robinson. I did watch some Missouri basketball last year, though, because they were a good team overall. I know that he does have a good jump shot. He is able to score off the dribble. Do the Lakers necessarily need that? I'm not sure, because I love the pickup that we just got in Nick Smith Jr. Maybe we could look to add some more center depth to this team, because Jackson Hayes is cool, DeAndre Ayton is cool, but are they really our future? I don't know about that. But Anthony Robinson, not a bad prospect. I don't know if I love him to the Lakers, though, at 25. 26 is Miles Bird, another pick I don't really love. I remember watching Bird last year for the NBA drafts. When I caught on to him, I would say is sort of at the exact same time where his stock kind of fell. He was inefficient. He wasn't making the right shots, wasn't making the right decisions on the court. So I guess my view of Miles Bird's probably a bit lower than other people, but you can see the draw. He's a big guy, or he's a long guy. He's tall. He's not necessarily big. He's a lefty. He's able to get his shot up. I see the draw to Miles Bird. I'm just not personally attracted to that draw. 27 is going to be LaJuan Watts out of Texas Tech, was at Washington State last year. I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't watch one full Washington State basketball game last year. The only Washington State basketball I watched was of Cedric Coward Jr., and I definitely remember this guy's name on the court. I just don't know too much about his game, and for that reason, I'm not going to make too much comments about him to the Thunder at 27. Looks like he's a talented three-point shooter. He's 6'6", 225, so he has a stocky frame. He sounds like an NBA prospect to me. 28 is going to be Thomas Haw to the Cleveland Cavaliers. This guy boosted his draft stock a lot during last year's March Madness. He decided to stay at Florida, which I think was a great decision because he could be, I don't know if he's going to be one of the team's main scorers because you have Boogie Fland and you have Xavier Lee. But as a guy that can be on the wing, catch and shoot, also work on his interior scoring as well, Thomas Haw can bring that for sure. The Cavaliers at 28 is also a really good fit because he would benefit coming right into a team that is looking to win basketball games right away. 29 is going to be JT Toppin to the Denver Nuggets. Okay, Toppin, I think last year if he declared and went to the draft, he probably would have been a higher pick. But it made sense because he got more money in the NIL than he would have got on his first year of his rookie contract. But overall, his game probably doesn't adapt too well to the NBA. He's 6'9", he doesn't shoot the ball that well. Really talented post player. Has one of the best left hands that I've seen out of a college basketball player in maybe the longest of times. But as a pure hooper, as a guy that's able to put the ball in the basket, you can't deny what JT Toppin brings. But as an NBA player, there's going to be some questions on his fit on the court. 30 is going to be Alex Condon. We're also only going to really dive into 30 too. I mean, maybe I'll show you some of the second round guys as well that intrigue me. But Alex Condon, we know Florida's bringing back their entire championship front court. Condon is a guy that can stretch the floor. He's a really good lob threat. He's good interior defense as well. He's a for sure first round guy for me. I would not be too surprised though if he ended up being a lottery guy too, because I think this Florida team is going to bounce back right away with new guard plays, replacing Walter Clayton, keeping a lot of their old players as well. I know it could be crazy to say, but don't be too surprised about a back-to-back. I know the Florida back-to-back team really in 2007 really retained a lot of their guys. UConn not so much. Florida's keeping their front court this year. They did not keep Walter Clayton Jr., but they do have some parts of their team still coming back. So maybe they could be a back-to-back team looking to next year. So that's going to be it for the first round. I'll show you some of the big names of the second round. Malik Thomas at 31 to the Jazz. Paul McNeil, don't know too much about. I know he's a really raw player, though. I've watched some of his game. Need to watch some more, though. Dash Daniels at 33 to the Brooklyn Nets. Whoa. That's low right there. Dash Daniels is a for sure lock of a first-round prospect for me. He was an honorable mention for my lottery. 33 is low. Really low. Mario Saint-Superi. Going to have to watch more of his games. Sergio Delaria at 35 to the Raptors. Know him pretty well. Boogie Fland, 36 to the Pels. I'd be pretty surprised if Boogie Fland declares for the draft if he's going to be projected 36. Might as well stay in college, get that NIL money. Gonna have to watch some of this guy's game. Don't know too well. Cam Williams, 38 to the Portland Trail Blazers. Gonna be at Kentucky this year. He's a good three-point shooter, good perimeter defender. I could see him boost his name into the first round for sure. Donovan Dent, a player we all know, at 39 to the Miami Heat. Adrian Woolley at 40 to the Sixers. That's not him, but okay. 41 is Caravan to the Sacramento Kings. One of the best three-point shooters, one of the best cutters. Does have his ups and downs at times, but he's going to be an NBA player. Morez Johnson at 42 to the Chicago Bulls. There's 43. Darian Reed at 44. Don't know too much about this guy. Going to have to watch him at 45. 46 is a big out of Cincinnati. 47, we have Ryan Conwell, who was at Xavier last year, and he's going to be at Louisville. Really excited to watch Louisville basketball. 48, the point guard, Braden Smith, to the San Antonio Spurs. Richie Saunders, 49 to the Celtics. Dalen Swain, 50, who's now at Texas. He's following Scotty Miller, right? He's going to the Detroit Pistons. Ian Jackson, 51. Okay. Another guy, well, if he's going to end up being 51, you might as well stay and collect that NIL check at St. John's, or wherever he'll be in 2 years from now. Wesley Yates, 52, to the Golden State Warriors. Jerron Pierre Jr. at Wichita State. Then we're going to have Milos Uzan at 54. 54? I don't know. I would have Uzan a lot higher than that personally. Tomislav Ivicic at 55. Let's see if we see his brother anytime soon. Amarion Dickerson, who's now at USC. This guy was a hooper in that first round against, I think they played, who did Robert Morris play? Did they play Alabama in that first round? They stuck in that game for the most amount of time. Otega Owe at 57 to the Houston Rockets. 58 is going to be PJ Haggerty. Looks like they both cut their hair. 59, Xavier Lee from Florida, like we mentioned before. And at 60, the UConn big man, Terrace Reed Jr. I love to see that. I think sneaky first-round prospects. I don't know. We'll see. Hope you guys enjoyed, though. Make sure to like and subscribe. Go into the description to submit your video ideas. And, yeah, basketball season is almost here. Peace.